Nobody turned when she entered, because in their minds, she had already died 10 years ago. No cheers, no gasps, not even a whisper, just the cold clink of champagne glasses and the same laughter that once buried her alive. A soft, pastel pink dress, a broken memory, and a silence sharp enough to bleed through velvet walls. She didn't come to be remembered. She came to remind them some ghosts don't stay dead. She wasn't bullied with fists. She was dismantled slowly, thoroughly, with prettier tools. Laughter whispers. Paper notes passed between desks like scalpels. They didn't say it to her face. Worse, they said it just loud enough for her to hear.
She smells like she sleeps under a bridge.
Pretty sure her mom uses the washing machine as a dresser.
Is that cafeteria lunch or government pity?
I heard she got lice from her couch.
They didn't need bruises. They had timing and numbers. One day, someone slipped a used pad into her locker, colored it red with a Sharpie, pinned a sticky note.
In case you ever become a real woman.
No one got caught. No one asked questions. On Halloween, she dressed as a sunflower. Bright yellow petals she'd sewn herself from old curtains. A girl in glitter heels stopped her in the hallway. Dead things don't count as costumes, sweetie. They created a poll online.
What horror movie is she from? A. The Ring. B. Carrie. C. Her Life. Top comment? She's not scary, she's just pathetic.
She once tripped in the cafeteria. Her tray flew. Her food spilled. No one helped, but someone filmed it. Added slow motion. Posted with the caption, "The Fall of Ghost Girl." It hit 40,000 views in 5 days. But the worst wasn't public. It was private, hidden in a notebook she kept under her pillow. In it, she wrote sketches, thoughts, a secret wish or two, and one soft, trembling entry about him, Tyler, the boy who'd once shared an umbrella with her, the only one who didn't look away when she spoke. She wrote a single page about how his voice made her hands stop shaking. He found it. She never knew how, but she knew when, because the next day her words were printed and posted across the hallway, scrawled over in red marker.
She wants to fuck it, Tyler.
Check out the Freak's love letter.
Gross. Does desperation count as a disease?
Tyler laughed out loud in front of her, with his arm around another girl. He even read it out loud, word for word, mockingly gentle, then crumpled the page and flicked it at her like garbage. She didn't cry, not in front of them. She just walked into the girls' bathroom, locked the stall, and sat on the toilet lid fully clothed, fully cracked. That night she wrote in the same notebooks.
If I disappeared, would anyone look for me? Would Tyler remember my name? Or just the sound of everyone laughing?
At the end of the year, her yearbook page was blank. Someone wrote across it in permanent marker, "Thanks for nothing." She had nothing to reply with, just silence. And that silence, it grew. Claws. The nurse once gave her a mint and said, "You're not sick, you're just sensitive." No one asked if she was safe. No one knew she stopped sleeping near windows. And one night she opened her notebook, and the words inside started bleeding. She had barely made it to the first table when the ghosts of her past slipped back into flesh. They didn't carry knives. They didn't need to. They had champagne flutes and perfect nails, and the kind of smiles that only grew sharp when aimed at someone beneath them.
Still shopping at Dollar Tree, huh?
Maybe she's here for the free food or the free pity.
A phone snapped. A whisper traveled faster than wine. Ghost Girl returns, still the SMAT 28. They didn't bother to lower their voices. They wanted her to hear it. They needed her to hear it. At the bar, they played glow-up bingo. She wasn't on any square, never had been. Mr. Aldridge, her old English teacher, walked past without a glance. The same man who once said, "Every voice matters." Tonight, he didn't even register hers. Someone handed her a flimsy paper plate. "Buffets over there. They might still have leftovers." Laughter bloomed like mold, quick sour, and impossible to scrub away. And then Vanessa. Red dress, red lips. Red heart, maybe, if she ever had one. She glided past and accidentally swung too wide. A glass of red wine tipped. The splash hit Eleanor dead center. A bloom of burgundy across her. A soft pastel pink dress, like a bullet wound that kept bleeding. "Oops," Vanessa said, mock horrified. "You should have worn black." Phones rose. Flash, caption, flash. Bloodbath ballroom. She came to cater, and then the screen behind the stage flickered to life. A slideshow, supposed to be nostalgic, but someone had hacked it. There she was, her photo edited, twisted, paused. Mid-blink, under the caption, "Most likely to vanish without a trace." The room erupted. Laughter snorts, a standing ovation for cruelty. A boy tossed a cocktail napkin at her feet. "Better clean that up, ghost girl. You're good at disappearing." She didn't move, didn't speak, didn't let them see the breath she held like armor. Because the floor they mocked her on, she knew it better than they ever would. She'd been there before, beneath their boots, their jokes, their silence. But this time she was counting every word, letting their poison flow, because the truth had already arrived, draped in pastel pink, dripping in wine, and no longer invisible. She didn't cry when the wine hit her, didn't flinch when laughter tore through the ballroom like glass shattering against stone. But when she turned to leave, they decided it wasn't over. Trevor Letterman jacket turned luxury blazer, class clown, turned corporate wolf, still grinning like high school never ended. He stepped in front of her, held up an empty glass like a trophy. "Cinderella," he said, voice slick with cruelty. "Forgot your mop." A beat. Then a shove. She stumbled. Her worn shoes slipped on marble. The room tilted. She fell hard, knees cracking the floor, palms splitting open. The wine on her dress now smeared with blood. Gasps. No, only cheers. "She's down, man. Someone get the janitor." Laughter roared, wild and unfiltered. Phones came up, angles adjusted. "Mop girl meltdown." "She bleeds like us." Ash catered and crumbling. And then Trevor stepped forward again, this time slower, deliberate. His shoe found her hand pressed, twisted, a crack, so small, so quiet. But in her chest, something ruptured. She didn't scream, didn't push him back. She just looked up right at him and smiled. It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't surrender. It was the look of someone memorizing the moment, so they could one day write it better than anyone ever lived it. "You're always so dramatic," someone muttered. "She's loving the attention." A girl spilled her cocktail onto Eleanor's hair. Another smeared canapes on the floor beside her. A man mimed tipping her like she was a street performer. She didn't wipe the wine, didn't wipe the blood, didn't rise. Because this time she wanted the world to see what they really were. Not classmates, not peers, but scavengers drunk on each other's cruelty, circling what they thought was a carcass. The silence inside her wasn't broken, it was boiling. And as she knelt in that mess of shame and glass, she didn't feel small. She felt ready. A sudden feedback hum. The room jolted. The microphone on stage came to life with a soft crackle. Then a voice. "Before we continue, we'd like to take a moment to celebrate someone very special." The MC cleared his throat, smiled like he knew something the others didn't. The crowd went quiet, curious, then buzzing. "She's a former student, a published author. A name you might have seen on billboards, bestsellers, and bookstore windows." Brows furrowed. Phones came out. A few gasps. At the center display, a hardcover book was quietly placed on an easel. Midnight blue, gold embossed letters. "The Silent Sunflower" by L.M. Astor. "Tonight, we're honored to welcome the winner of the National Literary Prize, the author of The Silent Sunflower, a story that's changed lives, been translated into 24 languages, and is now being adapted into a major film." The crowd erupted. Applause, squeals. Selfie sticks rising like weapons of worship. "Wait, she's here. I love that book. Who is it?" "L.M. Astor never shows her face." Vanessa's mouth dropped open. Trevor straightened his collar. Clara reapplied lip gloss. The same people who kicked a girl on the ground were now jostling to be seen on camera beside a literary icon. The MC smiled wider. "To help welcome her, we'd like to invite 3 of our class's brightest stars to the stage. Vanessa Monroe, Trevor Hale, Clara Jensen." Their faces lit up like Christmas came early. They stepped up beaming, waving flashing teeth like they were auditioning for a toothpaste ad. The crowd cheered clueless. One of the organizers approached with a velvet box, inside a silver pen. Limited edition, engraved with the book's title, "A Gift for the Author." Vanessa reached for it, laughing like it was obviously meant for her. "I mean, we did help shape the school's culture," she said sweetly, eyes sweeping the crowd. Trevor adjusted the mic stand like it belonged to him. "Whoever she is," he smirked. "She must have had amazing classmates to draw from." People laughed. The room lapped it up. Clara leaned into the camera, live streaming the event. "We're just honored to stand here tonight. This story means everything to us." No one noticed the figure slowly rising from the far end of the room. Wine-stained silent blood dried on her wrist like punctuation. She walked step by step toward the foot of the stage. Still no name. Still no gasp. But for the first time all night, the room stopped breathing. The cheers blurred. The velvet, the stage, the lights. They faded, and Eleanor was 17 again, walking through the back alleys of her broken town. No destination, no phone, just a body with no plan and a scream no one wanted to hear. The night air reeked of rust and neglect. Behind the old strip mall dumpsters overflowed with what the world had chewed up and spat out, and she stood there beside a trash bin thinking maybe she belonged there too. Earlier that week, her letter had been posted everywhere. Mock torn turned into a hashtag. Her inbox empty. Her voice forgotten. Her name a punchline. She looked down at her feet, rotten fast food, used bandages, a shoe without its pair, and then she saw it, a sunflower, growing out of a crack in the pavement. Bright, uninvited, untouched, she knelt, not from weakness, but from awe. That night she decided not to disappear. That night she began to write, not for fame, not for revenge, but for the invisible, the unheard. The ones whose names only existed on paper, no one ever read. She wrote through pain, through tears. Through every night her hands cramped, and her voice stayed silent. She wrote for every girl whose story had been laughed off a hallway wall. She wrote until the pen blistered her skin. She wrote until ink became blood. And in those pages she found her voice, not to scream, but to build a world where silence blooms loud enough to be seen. The silent sunflower wasn't written to be famous, it was written to survive. And now it would burn the palace of every cruelty that tried to bury her. The cheers blurred, the velvet, the stage, the lights. They faded, and Eleanor stood still behind the curtain, her name still a secret, but her silence now heavier than any spotlight. Out on stage the host beamed. Champagne glasses chimed. The mic crackled. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, he said, voice full of theater. A surprise guest, a former student, an award-winning author whose story shook the nation. He paused. The crowd leaned in, phones rose, flashlights armed. Vanessa adjusted her lipstick. Trevor checked his teeth in his phone. Clara tucked her dress, their smiles stretched hungry. They didn't care who the author was. They just wanted a photo, a tag, a story to steal. Please welcome the writer of The Silent Sunflower. The crowd held its breath, but no one came out, not yet. Instead, the lights dimmed. The projector lit up. A single photo. A girl, 16, in a threadbare hoodie sitting alone behind a gym folding napkins into paper cranes, captioned unseen doesn't mean unworthy. The room fell silent. A second image. A page from the novel, highlighted lines. You tried to erase her, but ink remembers what pencil forgets. A murmur. Vanessa's smile twitched. Trevor's knuckles clenched. Clara's phone slipped an inch. They looked at the photo again. Wait, that girl, that posture, that face? No, it couldn't be. Someone whispered, is that her? But before the truth could land, the host chimed back in. Let's welcome her in person, shall we? The curtain twitched. A figure stepped forward, still shadowed, still silent. And the crowd, once drunk on pride and filters, now stared stone-still breathless, watching the ghost walk out of the book they tried to burn. The ballroom wasn't silent, but it froze. Glasses in midair. Forks paused halfway to mouths, because on screen was a photo of a girl they all forgot. Except the words below it wouldn't let them. L.M. Astor, National Book Award winner, class of 2015. Gasps tore through the velvet hush. One woman dropped her drink. Another choked on a canapé. Clara stared eyes wide. No, that's not her. But the photo stayed. Eleanor, no filter, no facade. Seated at a wooden desk. A pen, a notebook, a stare that didn't flinch. Then a voice from backstage, soft but sharp. I didn't come here to be seen. I came to be remembered properly. And just like that, Eleanor Marin stepped into the light. Blood still crusted her knuckles. Red wine stained her dress like a wound refusing to dry. Her shoes damp, hair tangled. But her gaze was a storm held in stillness. She walked forward past rows of faces once crowned, most likely to succeed, past the velvet ropes they used to keep girls like her out, and up onto the stage where the stars of class of 2015 stood frozen. Vanessa, Trevor, Clara. They smiled oblivious, touched their hair, adjusted their posture, still hoping for the camera shot, still chasing the limelight. And then they saw her, saw what they had done, saw the blood on her hand, the crushed pride in her shoes, the fire behind her silence. Their smiles cracked like mirrors meeting truth. She passed them, did not blink. In her hand, the hardcover copy, The Silent Sunflower. The same book they had praised earlier, the same story they said felt too real. And now they knew why. She turned to the mic. Didn't speak yet, just stood there. A woman who had once been a ghost and now was the one haunting their conscience. She didn't walk to the stage, she ascended. With every step, the wine-stained hem of her dress dragged the memory of 100 silent lunches, 1,000 bruises swallowed whole. The microphone waited like a cross. She looked out at them, the golden children of the class of 2015. The kings and queens of hallway hierarchies, now silent, now small. She spoke. 10 years ago, I left this school without a single goodbye because I didn't think anyone would notice if I disappeared. She paused, let the silence swell like thunder under velvet. I didn't come here tonight for applause or closure or forgiveness. I came, her voice didn't break, it sharpened. I came to speak to the girl I used to be, the one who folded napkins into cranes so her hands would stop shaking, the one who sat behind the gym because no one saved her a seat, the one you laughed at, ignored, erased. She met Vanessa's eyes, then Trevor's, then Clara's. You called her ghost girl like she wasn't real. The slideshow behind her flickered. A photo of her at 17, soft, small, gone. To the one who laughed the loudest, I wrote your echo into my silence. That girl didn't disappear. She wrote a story. She lifted the book, The Silent Sunflower. You tried to bury me in silence. I bloomed through it. One breath. This dress you ruined, it doesn't shame me, it stains you. She stepped closer to the edge of the stage. Tonight you didn't meet Ella Master. You met the girl you forgot. And I'm unforgettable now. The room didn't clap, but every pair of eyes watched her like sunrise. And every cruel joke ever made about her just died in their throats. Nobody moved. It was as if time had lost its nerve. The chandeliers hummed softly above a crowd paralyzed, not in awe, but in shame. Someone near the bar dropped their glass. No one laughed this time. Trevor looked down at his shoes. Vanessa touched her wrist, like her watch might save her. Clara opened her mouth, then closed it. For once, she had no caption. A teacher stepped forward. Mr. Aldridge. He cleared his throat, voice fragile as old paper. I taught you, but I didn't see you, and I'm sorry, she nodded. Nothing more, nothing less. A cheerleader from junior year stepped up, mascara trembling on her lashes. We taped your letter up, she whispered. We thought it was funny. It wasn't. We were just cruel. The air shifted, no longer thick with mockery, but with something heavier. Awareness, guilt. The kind that doesn't ask to be forgiven because it knows it shouldn't be. One by one, they unraveled. Not because she asked them to, but because the truth doesn't need permission to sting. Trevor took off his jacket, folded it, left it on a chair like an offering. Vanessa bit her lip until it bled. And Clara tried to step toward the stage. Eleanor? She began, voice cracking. We didn't know. Eleanor didn't look away, but she didn't move either. She didn't offer absolution, because this wasn't her moment to heal them. It was their moment to hurt for once, to sit with what they did, to finally carry what she had carried alone. And for the first time in a decade, the silence belonged to her, and it was louder than applause. She didn't walk out, she left. Like the final page of a book, no one wanted to end. But everyone knew they'd remember. The heels that once mocked her now parted in silence. No one dared block her path, not even the ones who once crowned themselves kings and queens of teenage cruelty. Vanessa looked down. Trevor stepped back. Clara, for once, didn't reach for her phone. At her table, her coat waited still folded. Next to it, the name tag she never wore. Hi, my name is, but they already knew. She picked up her bag, tucked the book inside like a final word, and without a glance over her shoulder, walked toward the door. At the exit, a janitor held it open for her. He gave a quiet nod. She smiled, the soft kind, the real kind. Outside, the night met her not with cold, but with clarity. The sky didn't weep, the stars didn't shout, but the air, it tasted like freedom. She paused on the steps, took a breath that wasn't shallow. From her pocket, she pulled a pen, clicked it once, and on the back of a folded program she wrote, "They remembered me too late, but I remembered myself just in time." Then she tucked the note under the name tag. Inside, the music started again, but it was quieter now, like guilt learning how to whisper. And as she disappeared into the street, wrinkled dress, wine-stained hem, no spotlight, no entourage, she carried with her the one thing none of them ever expected. Power born of silence. sharpened by survival and crowned in truth.